Welcome. I would like to welcome you to another episode of the Unpopular Podcast. This is the man, the myth, the legend, Jalen Hunter. And if you do me a favor, please subscribe to where you're listening. Please subscribe to wherever you're watching. It definitely means a lot to me. I don't know if you guys can tell, but this is my favorite time of the sports year. March Madness just ended, college basketball just ended, and now we're rolling into the NBA playoffs. And I love this time. I'm a basketball fan, Basketball is my favorite sport, and I love this time of year. Again, even if you're not that big of a basketball fan, you still have the NFL draft, NFL, combine, NFL OTAs starting up soon. So this is a great time for sports, not to mention baseball is going on. So this is a great time, and this is my favorite sports time. And like I said, we're in the NBA offseason. NBA playoffs. And what I wanted to do is as the playoffs start, I wanted to rank all the teams from the top to the bottom. And I wanted to give a reason why each team, wherever you're ranked, why each team, the one reason why they will win the championship, the one reason why they won't. Now, some of these teams were harder than others. But I'm going to give you'll catch on. So let's start. First, let's start with the play-in teams. Now, while I'm shooting this, the play-in or the final round, I guess you could say, of the play-in games have not happened. I'm shooting this Friday afternoon, so I don't know exactly what's going to go in the play-in. So the play-in's clearly, by the time that you get this, is over, so you can just skip through this if you want. But I'm going to give the four play-in teams, which is Atlanta, Cleveland, New Orleans, and LA, the remaining play-in teams. I'm going to rank them, and I'm going to give you why I think, again, they're not going to win the championship, or why I think they could. Let's start with my last team, and that is the LA Clippers. Now, the only reason why I have them as the last team, even though they are ranked 8th, they're their 8th seed going in, is because of Paul George not being there and Kawhi Leonard not being there. And that also goes into why I don't think they can win. Yes, they have been surprisingly successful without neither one of course, like I said, Paul George or Kawhi Leonard majority of the season. Hell, that's the biggest reason why, if you saw last episode, I gave Ty Lue Coach of the Year. However, this is not the regular season. This is the playoffs. And if you look, it's very hard to win a championship. It's very hard to win games in the playoff if you don't have that star player. While, yes, Reggie Jackson has been good. Luke Kennard has been good. People that you won't expect or that had to elevate their game did without Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. However, once you get to the playoffs and teams start honing in on you, if they make the playoffs, because again, they're in the play-in, it's a lot more difficult. So the biggest reason why I don't think they will win the championship, which is LA, and why I have them ranked last, is because they don't have Paul George or Kawhi Leonard, and it's hard, especially in the playoffs, to win without your best player or best players. Now, one reason why I think LA can win, because LA has been surprisingly better than expected this year. Ty Lue, I don't know, he's a good coach. What he's unlocked, Reggie Jackson has been good. The Morris brother has been great. This team has played great together. This team has won games that they shouldn't have won. This team has a team that does not have Paul George or Kawhi Leonard should be nowhere close to a play-in, let alone the playoffs. So the fact that Ty Lue has been able to crack something that I didn't think was possible without star players is the biggest reason why I think they can win. I've doubted them all year. I've doubted them all year. I even doubted them, even though they did lose, but I doubted them at the first game of the play-in, even though they were in prime position to win. They just didn't. But yeah, man, I don't. It's shocking to me how good they played, and because of that, That's one reason why they can win is because they've exceeded expectations, and they don't have a lot of expectations going in. With Paul George right now in health and safety protocol, which is why he's missing the play-in game, and Kawhi Leonard. So, and that's the biggest reason why I have them ranked last out of all the play-in / playoff teams. The next team I have is Atlanta. Atlanta, like a lot of these teams, have been, I'm not going to say decimated with injury because they haven't been decimated, but they did lose a key figure in injury due to injury, and that is John Collins. And that is the biggest reason why I think that they could not win a championship. While yes, John Collins he's a game changer for that team, and he's not a deciding factor as far as he's not a superstar or anything, but Atlanta thrives when Trae Young, when Herter, when Clint Capella, and when John Collins are all on the floor. And Atlanta feeds off their stars. And John Collins has turned into one of their stars. Like I said, he's not a superstar, but he's formed himself into one of their stars. And with him being out now, he could come back during the playoffs. He could come back whenever. But I do think there's something that has to be said, and we'll talk about another team when we move up in the rankings. But it's hard for me to pick a team that relies so much on a player that's not there. Not to mention the fact that they're not the best defensive team. And once you go up against some of the top teams in the East, you're going to need defense. And Atlanta does not play that good. They're a good rim protecting team because they have Clint Capella. But outside of that, Trae Young doesn't play defense that well. Bogdanovich doesn't play defense that well. Herter doesn't play defense. Their best defender perimeter defender, I guess you can say, is DeAndre Hunter. So I just, that's why I don't think Atlanta could win. I do think one way I think they can win is just to ride that Trae Young train, man. Trae Young is emerging as an offensive superstar in this league. Not emerging. He probably is an offensive superstar. I'm not going to go as far as all-around superstar, but offensively, he's one of those players that can just catch fire quickly. He's one of those players that you look up, oh, shoot, he has 45? And the team needs all 45 of those points. Just a year ago, we saw, with Trae Young leading the way, we saw Atlanta make it to the Eastern Conference Finals. So we've seen that it can be done. And if it wasn't for, of course, them going against just the complete and utter mismatch in Milwaukee, but Atlanta, right, with Trae Young playing incredible, Kevin Herter was playing great. If you can make it to the Eastern Conference Finals, you can make it to the NBA Finals. So the one reason I think they could win is Trae Young goes crazy. In fact, you can kind of say that is a positive and a negative for this team. In fact, you can kind of put that in the same category as why they won't win. This team is so dependent on Trae Young offensively. Not saying that. Let me say this: Trae Young is the only player outside of maybe Ty or Lou Williams. Yeah. Trae Young is the only player that can really create his own shot. In fact, now that I'm really thinking about it, Trae Young is the only player on Atlanta that can really consistently create his own shot. And that's tough. That's tough when you're in a playoff series, man. When you need your best. Trae Young, and that's what we saw. That's what we saw in Milwaukee a year ago. When you put the best defender, when you put Drew Holiday on a Trae Young, when you put your best defender, or when you solely focus your offense or defense on stopping Trae Young or slowing down Trae Young, and you have to depend on other people to really create their shot, they aren't consistent enough to do that. So while yes, Trae Young can carry you through a series, the lack of offensive help can ultimately doom you. So that's why I have not only Atlanta ranked so low, but that's one big reason why I don't think Atlanta could win. And also that's one big reason why they could win, because of Trae Young. Now I have Cleveland. Cleveland is an interesting team. Cleveland is a team that is hugely affected by injury. How they're currently constructed, in fact, the biggest reason why Cleveland could win a Cleveland is so losing now. He could play. He probably is going to play moving forward, but losing Jonathan Allen was huge for Cleveland. But with Jonathan Allen on the floor, they are one of the best defensive teams in the league. I think they're ranked top 5. With him off the floor, even with a good defender like Evan Mobley, even with some of the pieces that they have, Lauri Markkanen, they are one of the worst defensive teams. That's just how big Jonathan Allen and his defensive presence is felt, I guess you could say. And I guess that's one big reason why I don't think they'll be able to win, because defensively they rely a lot on Jonathan Allen. Now, Jonathan Allen's a great defender, don't get me wrong, but if he's not 100%, they can still win offensively. You still have Darius Garland, you still have Kevin Love, but it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough when you're depending so much on Jonathan Allen defensively. Now, I can also put that in why they could win, because Jonathan Allen will come back. And when he does come back, this team, now again, this all can be for naught, because again, the play-ins, they could lose tonight. Again, I'm recording this Friday afternoon. So, y'all can just skip through this and just get to the other rankings, but if Cleveland does win, one of the biggest reasons why they can win is because they are a tall team. Again, you have Evan Mobley, Jonathan Allen, you have Kevin Love, you have Lauri Markkanen. They are a tall. You have Okoro. They are a tall team, and you have a point guard that has exceeded expectations. Now, who would have thought that going into this season, losing Colin Sexton, a team will be as good as they are, as Cleveland is, I guess you can say. Now, I'm not saying that I will say this, and I'll be the one to say it. Losing Colin Sexton probably was a great thing for Cleveland. Not saying that Colin Sexton is a bad teammate, not saying that he's a cancer, not saying that Colin Sexton doesn't make Cleveland better. But there's a reason why Darius Garland looks as good as he looks without Colin Sexton on the floor. Both of them, Colin Sexton and Darius Garland, are ball dominant guards that thrive in their games flourish the most with the ball in their hands. They're not the best off-ball guards. That's what we see with Russell Westbrook. Russell Westbrook is not that good. In fact, he's not really good at all at playing off-ball. Darius Garland is not the best as a catch-and-shoot player. Colin Sexton is definitely not the best at catch-and-shoot. So they both need the ball in their hands. So it's not a surprise why at Cleveland and Darius Garland looks as good as they look without Colin Sexton. Now, again, one of the biggest reasons why I think they can win is because this team is great defensively when they have Jonathan Allen, and this team can win rugged games. That's what they want to do. They want to go out. They want to have, muck it up. They want to win in the trenches. They want Darius Garland to be incredible offensively, but they don't want you to get anything inside. And with their height, with Evan Mobley, who could possibly win Rookie of the Year, with the size that they have, and their outside shooting with, like I said, Garland, with Kevin Love, they could win it. they could. I don't think they can win if Jonathan Allen is not right, and the fact that they're not the greatest offensive team. Like they kind of go through lulls, and Darius Garland is a small guard, so you can put a bigger defender on him that's fast, and that could kind of neutralize that. So that's Cleveland. And if you haven't been keeping up, I have Atlanta, or I'm not gonna say keeping up. That kind of sounds disrespectful. If you have lost track, I have L.A., Atlanta, Cleveland, and now New Orleans, going from worst to all the way up to best. New Orleans. New Orleans is an interesting team, man. Who would have thought that you trade away Anthony Davis? You trade away Anthony Davis, you get a whole bunch of young pieces. You get Brandon Ingram, you get Josh Hart, you get Lonzo Ball. You trade away Lonzo Ball. I don't think Josh Hart's on the team anymore. You draft Zion Williamson number 1. He misses the entire season, and you are pretty much a game away from being in the playoffs. And the team that you traded Anthony Davis for with LA, while yes, they did win a championship in the bubble, they're not even in the playoffs this year, which is it's crazy when you think about life. But New Orleans is an interesting team. New Orleans is a team that can catch fire. And when they catch fire if you look at the game they just had against the Spurs, CJ McCollum outscored the starters in the first quarter. That's how good they can be. And shouts out to CJ McCollum, man. It's tough, especially I can imagine, because I'm not in the NBA, never will be, never have been, but I can imagine going from one team to another mid-season, especially when you've built such a rapport, not only with the team but with Damian Lillard and with those players, to go to a whole nother team where you're pretty much, with Zion not being there, you're pretty much like the alpha male. You're pretty much like their go-to scorer. And he's been incredible, man. CJ McCollum is, that really shows me how, the way CJ McCollum has played, that really shows me how hampered I guess you could say hampered he had to make his game to play next to Damian Lillard. Now, I'm not saying it was totally hampered, but CJ McCollum has complete reign. He has the green light to go. And while he had that in Portland, he also had another player right next to him in the same backcourt in Damian Lillard that can drop 50, that can drop 60 easily. And now that he's the man, especially offensively, now, yes, you have Brandon Ingram, but guard-wise, he's the man. He's going crazy. So shouts out to them. And that's the biggest reason why New Orleans can win, I guess you could say, or win the championship, because you have a duo in Brandon Ingram that can dominate, especially offensively, the forward position. And you have CJ McCollum that can go off at any time. That is a bucket. That's great. You have Jackson Hayes, who can provide, a spark, especially in the paint, with the lobs, with the blocks. You have Valanciunas, who's been great. This is a great team. This is a really good team. I'm not gonna say great, because there's a reason why you're in the plan. But this is a really good team. But then it kind of goes to why I don't think they can win, or one reason why I think they won't win, is because outside of CJ McCollum and Brandon Ingram, where are you going to get your offense from? Who is going to score? Let me just go. Hold on. New Orleans Pelicans. I know they have wasn't it Hibbert or something? But he's not a scorer. New Orleans Pelicans. Let me just take a gander at their roster real quick. Yeah, outside of them, Herbert Jones, he's a defensive player. Yeah, nah, man. They don't. This is tough to look at, man. Like what I'm saying, outside with Zion Williamson not there, outside of C.J. McCollum and Brandon Ingram, they don't have another scorer on this team. So, I mean, I guess Devontae Graham. I guess. Why does was it Alzy Johnson look like Juan Dixon with braids or with locks? That's funny. But yeah, they don't have a third scorer outside of CJ and Brandon. And as we've seen, Brandon Ingram can kind of go through lulls. Like he can kind of disappear. You know, Brandon Ingram kind of reminds me of the basketball version of Amari Cooper. Brandon Ingram can go crazy. Like, you look up and he has 45, 48. Like, good God, Brandon Ingram's going crazy. Then the next game, he can have 5 points. And be like, damn, Brandon, what the fuck? Like, Brandon Ingram, to me, is the Amari Cooper of basketball. And that shows you how good they are, but that also shows you, wait, they can disappear mid-game, especially games that they're needed. So in the play-in, I rank them New Orleans, Cleveland, Atlanta, and the Clippers. And the only reason why I have the Clippers last is because Paul George is not playing due to excuse me, due to the I guess COVID. He's in health and safety protocol. I'm not going to say he has COVID, but he's in health and safety protocol, so he's not playing. So yeah, let's get to the actual teams that I know for sure are in the play-in right now, or playoffs right now. And let's start with the bottom. I'm gonna go with Dallas. So right now I have LA, Atlanta, Cleveland, New Orleans, now Dallas. Now you're probably asking yourself, Dallas is fourth in the West. Why do you have them so low? Well, let me tell you. Dallas reminds me. In fact, Dallas and Denver are in the same exact boat, in my opinion. Now, you're probably wondering why I have Denver higher than Dallas. I'll tell you right now. Dallas is going absolutely nowhere without Luka Doncic. Now, there's only one Luka Doncic in the league. Yes, I'm not. I'm not one of those people that say, "Hey, you don't have another Luka." But what I'm saying is, losing Tim Hardaway was huge. Losing Maxi Kleber was huge. Like, this team, yes, Spencer Dinwiddie's on the team, cool. Jalen Brunson's on the team, cool. Dwight Powell came back. Shouts out to Dwight Powell for coming back from injury. He's cool. But outside of that, Dorian Finney-Smith, all right, cool. Davis Bertans. This team relies so much. Now, of course, it's built around, Luka's a superstar, so it's hard to get superstar. It's hard to get superstar quality from players that aren't superstars, clearly. But this team is so. I'll say this. Luka is more than likely going to miss the first two. For sure, missing game one of the playoffs. Might more than likely miss game two with a calf strain. Oh, and for people that's killing Jason Kidd for having Luka in the last game, chill out. They were actually playing for something. To me, there's two different spectrums. There's two completely different spectrums. There's what Jason Kidd did, which ultimately, Luka Doncic got hurt. Then there's what Tom Thibodeau did with Derrick Rose when he was playing in the Bulls, or playing for the Bulls. Dallas was playing for seeding. If they would have won, they had a chance to make it all the way to the make it all the way to the third seed. So the last game was important for Dallas. They wanted to make it to the 2 or 3 seed, so they didn't have to worry about Phoenix until the East or Western Conference Finals. So I understand why And I completely agree with Luka Doncic and with Jason Kidd playing the last game because you had something to play for. It was for seeding. What Tom Thibodeau did, you're in a playoff game, right? Yeah, you're in a playoff game against Philly. You're up like 15, 20 points or 12 points or something like that with like 2 minutes left. Why? And Derrick Rose already done played like 40 minutes. Why are you still playing this man? 2 minutes left, up 12 or 15 or something like that. Why is Derrick Rose still playing? That I don't agree with. Like, come on, brother. Like, I understand it's the playoffs, but Philly was dead in the water. They weren't winning this game. Derrick Rose already done played 40 minutes. And you know the type of style that Derrick Rose plays. Like, it's not cohesive. Like, it's not smart. What Luka Doncic and Jason Kidd did, they were playing for seeding. They were playing for something. Now, I know for people that's about to type, you're in the playoffs. Why are you not playing for something? That's the playoffs. Yes, but the game was won. Hell, you know the game was won because Philly already took out their starters. They were playing the bench players that don't play. So Philly already done waved the right flag. Why is the Chicago Bulls playing their MVP starter? That doesn't make sense. But I'm not gonna go down that rabbit hole again. Let's go to Dallas. So the reason why they could win is because they have Luka Doncic. They have Luka Doncic, and for some reason, oh damn, I keep hitting the mic. For some reason, when Luka Doncic plays, when he's not the greatest defender, but Dallas is a pretty good defensive team when he plays. I don't know what it is because they don't really have a defender on the team outside of, I guess, Dorian Finney-Smith. Yeah, they're not the best, but they are pretty good defensively when Luka plays for however reason. And they actually came into the playoffs before the injury. Now, they came into the playoffs as one of the hottest teams, so they can ride that and all the way to the championship, and of course ride Luka whenever he gets back from his calf injury. So that's why they could win. They can't win is if Luka does not get right in time and you look up and they're down 2-0 or 0-2 or 0-3. There ain't nothing Luka can do. I don't see them buzzing 4 straight if they're down 0-2 or if they're down, 0-3, and that's very possible if he doesn't play the first 2 games of the series due to a calf strain. And calf strains can be serious. For people that think they're joking, I mean, look at James Harden when he was playing for Brooklyn last year. Calf strains can turn into something extremely serious very quickly if it's not nursed right. And playing a NBA game in the playoffs, I don't think is the greatest remedy for success to get that back healthy. So, they can win if they ride Luka because Luka is one of the best players in the league, MVP conversation this year, and they can lose because that's all they have is Luka. Next, I'm gonna go Milwaukee. Oh no, not Milwaukee. Whoa. Next, I'm gonna go Minnesota, the Timberwolves. First and foremost, do I think that let's talk about the celebration. Let's talk about the celebration. Do I think the celebration was a tad bit over the top? Yes, I do. They were celebrating like they won a championship. And for people that don't know what I'm talking about, the Minnesota Timberwolves beat the LA Clippers in the first playing game, which automatically put them in the playoffs. I don't think they've been in they haven't won a playoff game, I think, since 2005. A game, not a series, a game. So, and they were going crazy. Patrick Beverley was jumping on the scores table, took his jersey off, threw it in the stands. He was crying. Cat and Jordan Wood embraced each other it was a lot. So, do I think they kind of went overboard? Yes. But do I understand? And am I mad that they went overboard? No. First and foremost, this team ain't won a playoff game since 2005. That is, what was I doing in 2005? What happened? What was happening in 2005? 2005. In 2005, Kanye West's Late Registration came out. The documentary One came out. The Carter 2 came out. The Massacre came out, 50 Cent. Let's Get It, Thug Motivation came out. This was the last, The People's Champ from Paul Wall, underrated album, by the way, came out. This was the last time that Tony Yayo just dropped an album. Lord Jesus. The last time that the Chamillionaire, Sounds of Revenge, funny thing. Chamillionaire, Sounds of Revenge is one of the first, this is a little side note, was one of the first albums I bought from Walmart. Now, for people that don't know, because I clearly didn't know back then, Walmart does not have explicit albums. I didn't know that. So I bought Chamillionaire, and I believe I bought Idlewild, the Outkast soundtrack jump for the movie. I go home ready to pour my heart out to these songs, and what do you know? No curse words. Now, I don't mind it, but it just takes away from the experience. Not saying that I just blurt out the curse words all the time, but it is what it is. So back to the point. I understand why Minnesota was celebrating so much, because they have not won a playoff game, not a series, a game since 2005. So I understand you celebrate. Not to mention, it's been, Patrick Beverley is like the ultimate chip on your shoulder dude. So the fact that he played his best in his career when he was with the Clippers, and the fact that they pretty much, I'm not gonna say threw him away, but they pretty much didn't want him anymore. They traded him to Memphis, who then ultimately traded him to Minnesota. I get why he was going a little crazy. I do. So while yes, I do think there was a little overboard, I understand it, and I'm not mad at it. I mean, you can clearly say that this mattered to them. So I'm kind of with JJ Redick kind of went crazy on it, like he was kind of going rant mode. But I understand, it means something to these players. But back to my ranking. I have them slightly over Dallas and the reason why I think they could win is because they are surprising. They're actually one of the hottest teams coming into this playoffs. Like, Karl-Anthony Towns has had a crazy year. Especially, let me say, not a crazy year, but he's gone crazy, especially after All-Star, winning the 3-point contest. He's been crazy. Anthony Edwards has been great. D'Angelo Russell has been good, and he's been clutch in big moments. And Patrick Beverley, quite as kept, even though he pretty much gets tossed every game, he's been important, and he's probably he's their best guard defender. So this team can ride that momentum that they have going into the playoffs. Now, even though they can ride that momentum going into the playoffs, or that they can ride that momentum that they had that regular end of the season in the plan going to the playoffs. Karl-Anthony Towns can go crazy like he's been doing. Anthony Edwards seems that he's been killing whoever's on him. I could, they can just ride that momentum, and when they're hot, they're hot. Hell, you even saw in the play-in, they looked like they were dead to water going. I think they were down double digits against the Clippers. Paul George was going crazy, having 34, and then they were 3 after 3 after 3. D'Angelo Russell was going crazy from mid-range. Karl-Anthony Towns played horrible. I think he had like 6 points the entire. Like, Karl-Anthony Towns was playing. He fouled out. He was playing bad, and they still won. So that kind of shows. I mean, if they play well enough, even with Karl-Anthony Towns playing bad, if he just steps his game up, you know what I'm saying? The reason why I don't think they can win is that there's a reason why they were in the play-in. To me, they're like a seesaw. As far as when they're high, they're really high. Like, again, Karl-Anthony Towns plays incredible. D'Angelo Russell gets into the mid-range and has a nice mid-range shot. Anthony Edwards, he is emerged as one of the best young players in the league. Like, when they're great, they're great. But when they're bad, they are drastically bad. D'Angelo Russell, he's never really been a defender, but that just gets exploited. Anthony Edwards can't hit a bucket to save his life. Karl-Anthony Towns, all he does is shoot threes. When he makes one or when he thinks that this is his night, he just chucks it from three. Patrick Beverley is not a bucket at all. He's almost like a self-check on offense. That is the extreme. So like I said, it's kind of like a seesaw for Minnesota. It's like, okay, what Timberwolves team are we getting? Are we getting the great Timberwolves team? Are we getting the Timberwolves team that there's a big reason why they were in the play-in? So that's why because they're so inconsistent as a team is why even though McDaniels is a good defender, but that's offensively, nah. That's why I have them slightly above Dallas. And shocker, the next team I have is Chicago. Now, whoa, Jay, Chicago's like ranked. Whoa, what are you doing? Chicago? Yes. And I'm going to just go straight to why. Now, yes, let me say this. DeMar DeRozan deserves to be in the MVP conversation. Do I think he should be top 5? I don't know. I don't think so. But I do think, missing Zach LaVine a lot of the season definitely hurt. Missing Alex Caruso hurt. That's one of the biggest reasons. One of the biggest reasons why I don't think they can win is this is an injury-plagued team. Now, yes, Chicago looked incredible when they were fully healthy. Again, Lonzo Ball was playing great. Alex Caruso was playing great. Vucevic was good, is good in the paint. DeMar DeRozan's playing incredible with Zach LaVine. They look really good completely healthy, but they're not completely healthy. You don't have Lonzo Ball, who's your best. You can go back and forth between him and Alex Caruso as your best on-ball defender. Vucevic is kind of he's kind of So one of the biggest reasons why I don't think they can win is because of injury. And I have pounded this stat this entire year. I think Chicago has not beat a top tier team in any conference, whether it's the Eastern Conference or the West Conference. They have not beat a top team this entire year. And that's even with their top players. That's even with all their players. What they did is what they're supposed to do. You're supposed to feed on the lesser teams, the non-playoff teams. They fed fed handsomely. They fed on bottom tier teams. It's just when you get to teams that you're actually going to have to play in the playoffs, they are god awful. And hell, you're in the playoffs now, so ain't no scrub. Hell, they got the worst first round matchup they couldn't possibly get, and that is Milwaukee. So I mean, I guess I got to think, how can they win? Well, like I said, you have DeMar DeRozan, and they have DeMar DeRozan. And I will say this. I was shocked at how well DeMar DeRozan fit with not only the Bulls as a whole, but with Zach LaVine. And I thought that they're just both two scorers, but they both been great together. Even though they haven't played a lot together this entire year. You still have DeMar DeRozan, and you have Zach LaVine. You have Vucevic, I think. They have, and again, nobody expected DeMar DeRozan to have an MVP caliber season, which he has had. So they can ride that, hopefully. But to me, I have, out of all these teams, man, out of all the teams that are currently in the playoffs now, I have more faith, even though I do have them ranked higher. I have more faith in Minnesota pulling up a huge upset against the Grizzlies than I have Chicago pulling an upset against Milwaukee. In fact, I will say this in there. I will put this prediction out. I think I will be shocked, blown away, if Chicago wins 2 games this series. To be honest with you, I'll be shocked if they win 1. Now, anyone can sneak one in, but I'll still be shocked. I have Milwaukee easily sweeping Chicago. Just, again, I have not seen Chicago play well. And I'm not going to say play well. I have not seen Chicago beat a top-tier team. When I say top-tier, a team that's in the playoffs. I don't even think they've won any game against a team that's in these playoffs except the playing games. So, nah, I don't see it. But I have Chicago ranked over Minnesota. So, next up is Utah. Man, the reason why they can win is the reason why they could win for a couple years now. They have, they're one of the best defensive teams in the league. You have Rudy Gobert that's protecting the rim. You have Donovan Mitchell, who's incredible offensively. That's the reason why they can't. And that's the reason why they can win. But we've seen this time and time again. It's like the league is different. And I guess this kind of goes into why they can't win as well. The league is different. You know what I mean? Like, let's talk about Rudy Gobert for a second. Because shouts out to my man Jordan. He has his own podcast. I think it's called Jordan Rules. Go check that out. But shouts out to my man Jordan. I think he dropped an episode on Monday. Dropped an episode yesterday. Or Friday. I don't know, man. He dropped an episode recently talking about Rudy Gobert. And he was pretty much like... He was killing Rudy Gobert, man. like Rudy Gobert just didn't stand a chance. But there is some merit to what. Now, I think Jordan was going a little overboard, but that's just the type of person he is. It's either he's pretty much two extremes. But there is some merit to one thing that he said, and that is Rudy Gobert is not that good of a defender. Now, you're probably thinking, a man that has, three Defensive Player of the Year awards, like, how the hell is he not a good defender? But then you think about today's game. And what I cannot do is I cannot get last year, when they were up big against the Clippers. The Clippers did something that broke the series wide open, and why the Clippers ultimately not only came back and won, but went to the Western Conference Finals. Rudy Gobert is an incredible rim protector. He's probably one of the best rim protectors the league has ever seen. Not the best. One of the best rim protectors the league has ever seen. The problem is when you get Rudy Gobert out from the paint, when you force him to have to guard someone in the mid-range, when you force him to have to guard someone in the three-point line, Rudy Gobert is a liability. He's not fast enough laterally. He can't move his feet fast enough. He's just not good at guarding the perimeter. Now, of course, you don't want him to guard the perimeter because of his height, because of he's best when he is close to the rim. The only problem is when you play teams like the Clippers and you have Morris, when you play teams that has a big that can shoot threes or has a big that can stretch the floor, you kind of make Rudy Gobert kind of turns into a liability more than anything. And that's one of the biggest, and I'm not putting it all on him, but that's one of the biggest reasons why year after year, Utah loses. Not to mention the fact that they can't keep a lead. Utah has to be up there in top 5 teams this year to blow double-digit leads. They have blown multiple double-digit, and that's the thing. They blow double-digit leads like in the fourth quarter. Like it's god awful. And I don't know what it is, man. Like you have again Donovan Mitchell. You have some pieces. I don't know. Now, again, I don't want to just... The reason why I think they can win is because, again, you have Donovan Mitchell, and we've seen him go crazy. We've seen him have incredible series. We've seen him have incredible games. And then it's like you have the two positions that you want to be filled correctly. You have a big that is a great screener, is a great rim protector, is a good pick and roll as far as... No, let me say this. Pick and roll as far as roll to the basket, and I'm only passing it to you if you're at the basket. Anywhere else, nah. But he's a good rim protector, and he's a really good screener. because of how big and how wide he is. But again, that's why they could win. But then they're also, I hate to I feel like I'm bashing on Utah, but there's also something to be said that Donovan Mitchell has more turnovers this year than passes to Rudy Gobert. I'm not saying assists. I'm saying passes to. When Donovan Mitchell has the ball, passes it to Rudy Gobert, he has more turnovers this year than passes to Rudy Gobert. There's something about that relationship that's not manifesting the way it should. Now, we've heard rumblings since probably the whole COVID situation with Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert, so I understand that. But this team, there's a reason why they keep blowing leads as they did this entire year, and it's actually expanded just from the year. Like it's been going back to the playoffs. There's a reason. Yes, they can ride Rudy Gobert. They can ride Donovan Mitchell to the championship. They can also get bounced first round. They can also get bounced second round, and that's just how it is for Utah. That's why they're kind of difficult to assess. You know what I mean? Then you have Denver. Now you're probably asking yourself, wait, didn't you say that Denver and Dallas are in the same position? Yes, I did. So why do you have Dallas? So you have Minnesota, Chicago, then Utah, then you have Denver, but you're saying Dallas and Denver are the same. Here's what I mean. Denver has Nikola Jokic, who in all likelihood probably will win his second straight MVP. Nikola Jokic is unlike any center we've seen as far as his scoring ability, his passing ability. I mean, again, there's a reason, and it is huge when you're the first player ever to have 2,000 points, 1,000 rebounds, and 500 assists in a season. Nikola Jokic, again, will probably win his second straight MVP. And this team feeds off Nikola Jokic like he is a lifesaver, which he is. This team, if you look, their plus minus with him on and off the floor is tremendous. Even with a player like Aaron Gordon, even with a player like what's his name, Will Barton, Nikola Jokic is like a slider on 2K. Without him, he's with Nikola Jokic, bruh. When he's on the floor, Denver looks like a completely different team than off the floor. When he's off the floor, Denver just loses all capability and all skill. Even with Morris, even with the players even with Aaron Gordon, they just lose all. They just god awful. When he's on the floor, they are incredible. They're great. And that's the biggest reason why they could win is because you have Nikola Jokic. You have a possible 2-time MVP. And he does so much for this team, especially offensively and kind of defensively too. He's not the best defender, but his defensive presence allows other people to do other things. I know it's simple. It sounds simple, but it's not. Now Aaron Gordon doesn't have to worry about defending, a center. Now it's and while Nikola Jokic is not the greatest defender, he's a big body. So that's why it's different. It's different. So that's why they could win, because you have Nikola Jokic and he does so much for this team. Why they could lose is because now there's one, because Nikola Jokic does so much for this team. This team is not good defensively. Denver is not good defensively, especially with Nikola Jokic off the floor. They are better with him on the floor, but that doesn't mean that they're not a good defensive team. Yes, I just said that they're better. There's a difference between being better and being good. I am a better football player than my sister. That doesn't mean I'm a good football player. That's what I can say. Denver is a better defensive team with Nikola Jokic on the floor, but they're not that good a defensive team. Also, we've been saying it all season, but it's really going to come into effect in the playoffs. When you don't have your team, right? And when you're missing key players. Now there's difference between missing, let me think of a player. There's different Let's look at Cleveland. There's a difference between missing Jared Allen and missing Lauri Markkanen. And that's no offense to Lauri Markkanen. That's no offense to Jared Allen. But there's a difference between missing Lauri Markkanen and missing Jared Allen. They both do different things on the floor. They both have a different dynamic. While they're both key players, there's a difference between missing Jared Allen and missing Lauri Markkanen. There's a difference, but let's go to another team, a better example. There's a difference between missing Steph Curry and missing Jordan Poole. Both incredibly important to the team, but both are completely different. So while people say, Denver has gotten to the 6th seed and has been successful this year without Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr., there's a difference between not having them in the playoffs and not having them in the regular season. And there's a difference when you miss someone like Jamal Murray compared to missing someone like Campazzo. Jamal Murray is the only guard on this team, which is Denver, that can consistently get their own shot. Now, yes, Will Barton can do it, but Will Barton is like a microwave. Like, he's either hot or he is cold. There's no in between. Denver is going to miss, and Denver has missed all season, the offensive output that Jamal Murray and that Michael Porter Jr. can create. And Denver still is not a defensive. Denver was never, even with Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr., they were never really a defensive team. What they were hoping is, and what they've been doing is relying on their offense. Because a team looks drastically different when you have Nikola Jokic, Aaron Gordon, DeMarcus Cousins has been good for this team coming off the bench, and Will Barton looks completely different than Jamal Murray, Michael Porter Jr., Aaron Gordon, and Nikola Jokic. That looks completely different. While no, you're still not that good a defensive team, you can outscore a lot of people. So the reason why Denver could win is because you have Nikola Jokic, and Nikola Jokic is the ultimate Swiss Army knife, especially at center. The reason why you can't win is because this team you will really feel the impact of not having Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. And this team is not good defensively enough to overcome. Not only are they not good defensively to overcome, they're not good offensively either to overcome them. Now, yes, they've been able to do it all season, but there's a difference when you're in the playoffs, and now you're going up against a Golden State team, which even if they don't have Steph Curry for the entire, which is looking like they will, even if Steph Curry is not 100%, Klay Thompson looked like he's rounding into form. Jordan Poole has been incredible, and Draymond Green looks like he's rounding into form defensively. So, again, you can ride the Nikola Jokic train, which is a good train. He's been incredible. Again, he very well might win his second straight MVP. But then again, you're really going to feel the effects of not having Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. And for people the last thing I'm going to say about this, for people that say, but wait, Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. are not defenders. Yes, I understand that. They were never going to be a really good defensive team. What they were hoping for is that Denver would be such a great offensive team that their defense can supersede how lackluster they are defensively. So that's what they were hoping for. So that's Denver. Oh man. Let's get to it. I have Brooklyn. I have Brooklyn next. So let me get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. My ninth team, going from worst to best, is Brooklyn. And I'm going to tell you why. Let me first start with the obvious. The obvious is why they can win. They have the best offensive duo in the league. You have two players in Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving that can go nuclear. In fact, we've seen them go nuclear at the same time. We saw Kyrie Irving, drop like 50. Oh no, the play-in game. Kyrie Irving went 12 for 12 before missing a shot. He went 12 for 12 the first half. Kyrie Irving was going crazy. And then when Kyrie Irving kind of slowed down the second half, KD sealed the game for them. The biggest reason why they can win is because they have two nuclear bombs that can go off at any moment. They have two players that are arguably top 5 offensive weapons. In fact, let's just be real here. They have two players, unarguably, two of the best offensive weapons in the league. You have one player who a lot of people consider as the best player in the league. You have another player who some consider as the most skilled player in NBA history in Kyrie Irving. So that's the biggest reason why they can win. They both are used to big game moments, used to big games, used to big series, and they can take over a series. They can take over a series. Plain and simple. Not to mention, you have complementary pieces. You have complementary offensive pieces, meaning you have there's a reason why when you make the trade for James Harden, you get a Seth Curry, you get a Seth Curry, you get a Andre Drummond, so that and you get a Andre Drummond and Seth Curry, so you can kind of relieve some of the scoring off of Kyrie Irving, some of the scoring off of Patty Mills. You can have a rim protector, which is Andre Drummond. You can also have a rim presence, a rim scorer, Andre Drummond. So that's the biggest reason why they can win, is you have two nuclear bombs that can go off at any moment, and they both can go off at the same time, which is Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant. But to me, and the reason why I have them, ninth, going from worst to best, is their offensive ability is so great that there's a lot of times when it overshadows a lot of holes. Their offensive output sometimes shadows the fact that they're not a good defensive team at all. Yeah, they have defensive moments. Yeah, Kevin Durant is good defensively at times. Yes, Kyrie Irving is good defensively at moments, but as a collective whole, the team is not good defensively. Nick Claxton is not the defensive person that they need him to be. Andre Drummond, while he's good and while he's a great rebounder, he hasn't been the rim protector they need him to be. Now, I understand he came at the trade deadline, but this team is not good defensively. And while, yes, you have two nuclear bombs in Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, it's hard when... Now, again, I can't imagine because I'm not that good. Never been, never will be that good. But it's hard to ask and expect a player to be as good offensively as they are every game. And the reason why they ask them that is because that's really the only way they can win. Hell, look at that Cleveland game in the play-in. If it wasn't for Kyrie Irving going crazy and Kevin Durant doing what he's doing at the end of the game, there's a very good chance they wouldn't win. They would not have won. I'm sorry. It's tough, man. It's tough, and I haven't said his name, but I'm going to. Now you add in the Ben Simmons component to this whole contraption. Ben Simmons alongside Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving can definitely win you a championship. But we have not seen Ben. Now they're saying that Ben Simmons is gearing up to play. Look, he's targeting games 3, 4, and 5, right? Of this series against Boston, which is the playoffs, round 1. We have not seen Ben Simmons since last year's playoffs, when not only did we have the infamous you're right at the rim with Trae Young right there and you pass it off to Matisse Thybulle, but he did not want to touch the ball because he was scared to get fouled. Meaning that he's not all there confidence-wise mentally. So the first games that you bring him back on a new team, by the way, is the playoffs? And you think that's going to be so cohesive? Don't get me wrong. If you gave it a year or 20 games, you gave it 20 games together, I would be like, yeah, I can understand that. They can do some things. This will be the first game. Practice is different. This will be the first game that Ben Simmons plays alongside Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. To me, that's not cohesive in winning a championship. Yes, if they get more time together, maybe next year, but no. Because you know what teams are going to do? Whoever's guarding Ben Simmons, because we haven't seen him, because apparently he had back issues. We haven't seen him since last playoffs. So it's like whoever's guarding Ben Simmons, you just double KD or double Kyrie, whoever the hell's going off, and say, yo, Ben Simmons, do something. Wall the paint up. Ben Simmons, you're going to have to shoot. We're going to put you on the line. You're going to have to shoot. We see that you've been working on your shot with Kyle Korver. You're going to have to show us something. Then what happens if he does that and he just got awful? What does that do to his mental? You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a lot of questions that they have that's going to be had. No. That's why I have them as low as I do, because while you have two incredible pieces, everything else around them isn't reliable. Especially defensively, even with Ben Simmons. Because I don't know, we don't know what the hell we're getting from Ben Simmons, because he ain't played since last year's playoffs. So that's why I have Brooklyn where I have them, ninth? Above Brooklyn, I have Toronto. The team that nobody talks about. Nobody talks about Toronto. And while Toronto has played way above expectation. Pascal Siakam has had a great season. Fred VanVleet has had a great season. I never would have thought that Gary Trent Jr. would be such a huge acquisition for this team. He's been great. Scotty Barnes has been great, who if you listen to last episode or watched last episode, I picked him as the Rookie of the Year. This team has been incredible. And I think that's one of the biggest reasons why I think they could win, is because they are great. They're a rugged team. They're a great defensive team. They have pieces that can hit shots when they need to, like Fred VanVleet, like Gary Trent Jr. They have a player that, as we've seen multiple times, can take over a series, and that's Pascal Siakam. And a team that lost Kyle Lowry, who was, of course, a mainstay for the team and got back so much, has been able to be this successful, has been crazy. So that's why Toronto can win. And the fact that they met, we'll move. One of the biggest reasons why I think that Toronto can't win is it's kind of like we talked about with I don't remember who it was, with New Orleans. We've seen Toronto play incredible. When Toronto was firing on all cylinders, they are damn near unstoppable. That's how good they have. Length, they have quickness, they have size, they have shooters, they have defenders. Like when they're all firing on all cylinders, they are incredible. When they're not firing on all cylinders, good God, like it doesn't look good. Scotty Barnes, he's not the best shooter anyways, but when he's not hitting, he's not hitting. Pascal Siakam, I mean, he still has the spin moves. He still does wild things at times. It's Pascal Siakam. You know what I mean? Gary Trent Jr., we've seen him, especially when he was on Portland, go through cold spells. And Fred VanVleet is a small guard. And I don't remember who said this, but there is some merit to it, that there has never been a small guard to lead a team to a championship. Not saying they haven't won the championship, because when you look at small guards, you can think Kyrie Irving. He's 6'2", he's a small guard, but he also played alongside LeBron James. When you see, if you want to consider Steph Curry a small guard, he's 6'3". He also is is the greatest shooter of all time, playing next to, in my opinion, the second greatest shooter of all time in Klay Thompson. You also had Kevin Durant, and even the championship they didn't win, or the championship they won without Kevin Durant. You still had Draymond Green. It was a great team. So there is something to be said that a small guard cannot lead a team to a championship. So, and Fred VanVleet is pretty small. So that's why I don't think Toronto could win, is because they don't really have a superstar, and they don't really have a dependable player as far as if you need someone to take a series over. We've seen Pascal Siakam do it. That's a lie. We've seen him take over games. He did that in the finals, but he also was playing alongside Kawhi Leonard, and Kevin Durant got hurt. Steph Curry got hurt that series. And, of course, we know what happened to Klay Thompson. So, yeah. Let's go to Philly. And Philly's an interesting team. Philly's a very interesting team. To me, you have to start with why they can't win. You acquire James Harden in the blockbuster trade. You get off of Ben Simmons. You also have to trade Seth Curry. You also have to trade Andre Drummond. But you get James Harden. You get the prize. You get a top 75 player all time. You get James Harden. And you pair him alongside Joel Embiid, who could also very well, just like Nikola Jokic, win MVP this year. But we've seen James Harden in big moments in the playoffs. And more times than not, we've seen James Harden falter. We've seen James Harden fall flat. And one of the biggest reasons, not to mention the fact that we've been talking all year about Kyrie Irving possibly couldn't play in the playoffs because he's not vaccinated. While, yes, Matisse Thybulle can play in the playoffs, he's unable to play in Toronto, who will be their first-round matchup. Not saying that they will lose to Toronto, but they could very well lose if James Harden does not play. At this point, we can't expect James Harden to be the same James Harden that was back in Houston. He hasn't been that when he was with Brooklyn, and he hasn't been that since he's been with Philly. You just can't. He doesn't have the same body type. It looks like he's a step slower. We just can't expect that. But what we have to expect, like Jalen Rose even said it. Yo, his fourth quarters have been horrible. They look like concert tours or concert dates. That's what Jalen Rose said. Philly needs him to be better in situations like that. Because if not, yes, Joel Embiid can score 40, 45 every night. But that's taxing, especially on a big body like Joel Embiid. And when when Toronto is going to throw everything at him, like James Harden, you're gonna have to do something. Not to mention James Harden, they're probably gonna put Scotty Barnes on James Harden. So I know it's gonna be tough, but you're gonna have to do something, bro. Not to mention the fact that you're missing your best defender or perimeter defender in Matisse Thybulle. He's not going to be able to play due to COVID. Due to not being vaccinated, and you can't play if you're in Toronto. So it's going to be tough. But why they can win is because they have arguably the second best duo in the league with Joel Embiid and James Harden. When they're both on, again, Joel Embiid could very well win MVP this year. James Harden has won an MVP. James Harden has had put up some godly numbers his entire career, and when they're both on fire, they can be hard to stop. So, not to mention they have some. If they make it out of Toronto, they have Matisse Thybulle, who is a good. Well, they'll have him for home games, which is a great defender. You still have Danny Green, who's a solid defender and who can hit a three from time to time. Tyrese Maxey has had an incredible season, and he's definitely stepped up. While I don't think he's going to win, and I wouldn't vote for him, but you can have an argument that he is the most improved player, especially seeing as though he had to be with the whole Ben Simmons situation. That's why Philly could win. So, yeah. Now you get into the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're in top 6, so we can't really make the announcement until you get a top 5. Let's go to Boston. So that's number 6, Boston. And the only reason why I have number 6, and one of the biggest reasons why I think they can't win, is because losing Robert Williams. Now, Robert Williams could very well play in the playoffs. Now, of course, I don't think he's going to be good for game 1 and 2. But losing Robert Williams is huge, especially when we talk about the defensive scheme that Boston wants to run. Boston, especially towards the end of the season, was the best defensive team in the league, and it really wasn't that close. Yeah, Miami was up there, but no, it's Boston. Boston, with the length they have with, like I said, when Robert Williams was there. Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown were playing great defense. Marcus Smart, who, from what I'm hearing, could possibly or probably win Defensive Player of the Year, which I may not agree, but it is what it is. They have been great. They've been great, and they have been one of the hottest teams going in. And a lot of that, especially defensively, is predicated on having Robert Williams. Al Horford is not the best defender. So when he's in the game, the defensive scheme is completely different because he's not a rim protector like that. So having Robert Williams was big, and that's the biggest reason why I don't know if they can win or not, because they don't have him. Now, again, reports are he could possibly come back in the playoffs. We'll see. But until then, that's the biggest reason why they can't win. One of the biggest reasons why they can win is everything that I said outside of Robert Williams. They are one of the hottest teams. You have a young superstar in Jason Tatum. You have a young star, bridge superstar, you have a young star in Jaylen Brown. You have a great defender in Marcus Smart. You have Ime Udoka is a great coach. It's a good team. It's a very good team. And they are firing all cylinders. Boston, it's crazy, man. Boston got, even though you're going to have to go up against KD and Kyrie, they have a very favorable matchup against Brooklyn. You got what you want. You got the beast. You got the two beasts. Like, you're going to have to do something with it. And outside of those two, which, by the way, you can put Marcus Smart on Kyrie Irving. You can put Jason Tatum on KD. Not saying that this is going to stop them, but it's going to be a matchup to be had. Everyone else, Boston. All right. So if you would have done top 10 players, right, of this series, of this matchup, and Ben Simmons is a wild card, so you can't put Ben Simmons in there. Right now, it is, in my opinion, number 1 KD. Clearly, I would say number 2 Jason Tatum. Just because of, well, no, Kyrie Irving is a better offensive player than Jason Tatum. I think Jason Tatum is that much better defensively, and the fact that Jason Tatum is still a bucket offensively. I mean, he has multiple 60-point games. So I have what's his name? KD, Jason Tatum. Then I have Kyrie Irving, and then the next few people is Celtics, Jaylen Brown, Marcus Smart, maybe Al Horford. You know what I'm saying? Like I will go with Boston. So that's why I have Boston at 6. They can win because they're hot as ever, and you have a superstar to carry you home in Jason Tatum. You have a young star in Jaylen Brown. You have a great defender. You have great pieces, and this team is hot at the right time. The reason why they may possibly not win is because losing Robert Williams is huge. That's why a lot of people had the Celtics as a championship favorite, seeing how good they were playing. Once Robert Williams went down, nah. So, well, now we get to the top 5. And for number 5, I have Miami. And to me, Miami is probably one of the most disrespected number ones we've seen since. Wasn't the Grizzlies number one time? Yeah, Miami's probably one of the most disrespected number ones that we've seen in a while as far as the East. They've been great, and one of the biggest reasons why they can win is because when they're all on, they are undoubtedly the best defensive team in the league. I mean, when you think about that, like on any given play, if you have the ball, you're going to have either Kyle Lowry, PJ Tucker, Jimmy Butler, or Bam Adebayo in your face. And all of them are potential all NBA defenders. It's going to be tough. This team is exactly what Miami is, a rugged team. They have gems on the bench. They have, Cody or Kobe Martin. They have gems. They have players that you wouldn't expect to be great are great. They have pretty much Tyler Hero is going to win 6th Man of the Year. So they have Tyler Hero. They have a squad, man. It's going to be tough. But the reason why the reason why they possibly couldn't win is this team, Jimmy Butler, quiet as kept, has not been good offensively all year. This team, their most reliable offensive weapon has been Tyler Hero. And while, yes, he's been good, he's going to win 6th Man of the Year, I don't see him carrying a team offensively. Like Duncan Robinson, he's good, but he has been inconsistent this year as well. The most consistent player offensively has been Tyler Hero. And Tyler Hero's offense ain't going to carry you, even with the incredible defense. Tyler Hero's offense, Jimmy Butler, especially shooting threes, has been terrible this year. Their offense can just disappear, and that can be catastrophic for them. So they can win because they're the best defensive team in the league, honestly. When they're firing all cylinders, best defense in the league easily. But their offense can go astray, which is one of the biggest reasons why they possibly could see themselves lose. So I have them at 5. Number 4, I have Golden State. Now, Golden State, right? Golden State is the difference between Golden State and a team like Denver and a team like Dallas is, yes, Steph Curry is pretty much that team. We see, if you look at their win-losses, they win. They're damn near an unwatchable team without Steph Curry. Now, that was also because they didn't have Klay Thompson. Klay Thompson was trying to get back healthy. Draymond Green missed some time with back injuries. Now, do I think that they can win a series? Do I think they can win Denver series with Steph Curry being sidelined? Yes. Because of how good Klay Thompson's been playing, because of how good Jordan Poole's been playing, because of how good Draymond Green has been playing of late, because Andrew Wiggins has found his shot again, sort of. They've been playing better, especially going to the playoffs. And I think that they can win. They can beat Denver with a less than stellar. They can beat Denver without Steph Curry. That's how good Jordan Poole's been playing. That's how good, as of late, Klay Thompson's been playing. But I don't think it's going to be easy. I think that can go a 7-game series. The thing is, it's moving forward. Moving forward, I don't think they can win without Steph. Now, Steph is Steph. He's a Steph Curry. Like, come on now. But one of the biggest reasons why I think they couldn't win is because they really were banking on on James Wiseman being there. They need James Wiseman there because he's not the best. They need his height. While Kevon Looney, shouts out to him, has played every game. He's not only the best defender, but he's not tall. And when you go up against people like the Grizzlies, who have Steven Adams, when you go up against people like the Phoenix Suns, who have DeAndre Ayton, that's going to be incredibly tough on your team. Hell, they go up against Denver. The only reason why I have them favored so heavily against Denver is because outside Nikola Jokic, they don't have much. And Nikola Jokic is going to give them the work. So they can win is because we saw what they look like when Jordan Poole's right, when Steph Curry's right, when Andrew Wiggins is right, when Draymond Green's right. And that we saw at the beginning of the year. Beginning of the year, they were arguably the second best team outside of Phoenix. Now that you're getting, and we were all saying, wait until they get Klay Thompson, wait till they get James Wiseman. Well, they don't have James Wiseman, but Klay Thompson has at least looked great going into the playoffs. So they can win because they have the formula. Like they have any given night, you can have they have Steph and Klay. That's how, and they have a championship DNA as at least, Steph, Klay, Andre Iguodala, Draymond Green. They have championship DNA, so they can win. The reason why they can't win is if Steph Curry's not right, or if Klay Thompson kind of goes back into the Klay Thompson when he was trying to get right, or Draymond Green doesn't get back, or get to 100% because, he's still doing the whole labor in the whole back. Andrew, and I think that their size is going to hurt them at some point. Now, they could possibly win, but again, their size is going to hurt them at some point. Shouts out to Kevon Looney, but he's not that tall. So, yeah. Number 3, I have Milwaukee. They're reigning champs. They have been incredible this year. They did lose some bad games, but the reason why they can win is they have arguably the second best all-around team. Drew Holiday, Giannis, Brook Lopez, Serge Ibaka. Getting Serge Ibaka was huge. Bobby Portis. They have a team, bro. This team is hard to stop, especially when you have Giannis being Giannis. That's tough. That's gonna be tough. And that's the biggest reason why they can win. Again, they won last year with most of the same players. And again, Giannis is in the MVP conversation as well. Again, and Giannis is arguably the best player in the league. So now the reason why they can't win is because I don't know if they have enough scoring to keep up with a team like Phoenix, or keep up with a team like the Grizzlies, or keep up with a team like Golden State when they're firing on all cylinders. Yes, they have the complete nuclear bomb in Giannis, but is the supporting cast going to be able to keep up? When they have to go to their bench, are they going to be able to keep up scoring wise with some of the top teams? And that's the question for Milwaukee. I have 3. Number 2, I have the Grizzlies. The Grizzlies have been the surprise, the shock of the season, in my opinion. Ja Morant has been incredible. Even when he's been out, again, we know that the stat that's been going around, they're 20-2 without him, which is crazy. Desmond Bane, you can argue, is the most improved player. This team has been great, man. And I think that's one of the biggest reasons why they can win. This team knows how to win without Ja Morant and with Ja Morant. Now, I don't think they can win without Ja Morant, but this team is battle tested as far as the regular season. They know they have been incredible. They have been world beaters this entire year. Outside of another team, they've been world beaters this entire year. And I think not having John Morant there for a lot of the time, and of course you have players that need to step up that maybe wasn't expected to step up. They have been great, so that's why they came in. It's just a complete team. Jaren Jackson Jr. There's a complete team. But the reason why I think they possibly couldn't win is because they're young. There's a difference with the playoffs and regular season. We say that all the time. Everyone says it all the time. Now you have one team that's focused solely on you. While I don't think that they'll get, upset by the Timberwolves, I do think that when you play a team like maybe Golden State, or if you go past Golden State, maybe Phoenix, it's going to be tough when they're solely focused on you. And teams are going to make John Morant shoot the ball. While he has improved his shot this year, it hasn't been consistent. So they're going to make John Morant shoot the ball. So I think that their youth could possibly hinder them from winning it this year. And number one, I mean, it's easy. It's Phoenix. Phoenix has been the most complete team this entire year. Phoenix they have been leaps, and they have been head and shoulders better than everybody, in my opinion, this entire year. Yeah, they've lost some games. Yeah, they have experienced some injuries, but even in that, Devin Booker's been great. Monty Williams is probably going to win Coach of the Year. This team has been leaps and bounds the best team in the league. It hasn't been close, and that's why I think they can win. They have been. It's hard to find a weakness in this team. Very hard to find a weakness. It's hard to find a weakness in this team. They've been great. Drake Crowder's been great. CP3, yet another year, he's been great. They've been great. Now, one reason why I think they could possibly lose is health-wise. I mean, Chris Paul did miss some time. I don't wish any health on it, or I don't miss injuries on anybody, of course. But Chris Paul did miss some time due to injury again. We know he does have a history of injuries that creep up in the playoffs. Also, when they go to the bench, now Cameron Johnson has been great, but especially at the guard position, when they go to the bench, is Cameron Payne going to be able to withstand some of, maybe if he has to go against a Jordan Poole, maybe if he has to go against I don't know, a John Morant, who knows? I just, I don't know if they'll be able to do that. And we've seen DeAndre Ayton, if he has to guard, he was getting, now, of course it's easier said than done, but he was getting filleted by Giannis last year. Now, again, that's Giannis, so it is what it is. But I'm just saying it can get real ugly. So that's all I'm saying. But again, Phoenix has been the best team all year, like consistently all year. So those are my rankings. Those have been my rankings. I was gonna talk about the Kyler Murray stuff. I was gonna talk about Baker Mayfield, but I think this has gone long enough. I'm excited for the playoffs. It starts Saturday, which is today, when you're watching or listening to this. Let me know what you feel. Let me know if you like my rankings. Let me know let me know if you agree with what I said. If you have a team too high, or if I have a team too high, team too low, let me know. And again, I'm shooting this before the play-in, so hell, I talked about New Orleans, Cleveland, Atlanta, and LA. At least two of them teams ain't gonna be there. So it is what it is. I appreciate you guys. That has been this week's episode of the Unpopular or this Saturday's episode of the Unpopular Podcast. If you want an Unpopular Podcast shirt, hoodie, sweater, long sleeve, hoodie, joggers, the link is in the description below. I have multiple different colors, multiple different designs. Whatever you're feeling, I got you. The weather is getting better, so go get your short sleeve shirts. Hey, whatever color you need, whatever design, I got you. Just click on it, press buy, and it's to you. So please support. Also, please subscribe to wherever you're listening. Please subscribe to wherever you're watching. It definitely means a lot to me. I hope you enjoy this Saturday. I hope you enjoy this weekend. Happy Easter for people that celebrate Easter. or that Easter is important to them. Happy Easter to you guys. And until next time, much love.